Hello everybody. It looks like I am going to get that 40k game in after all. So I will get to use that 1000 Suns list that I talked about earlier. Made all the corrections and fixes to the list, that I spotted when I was going through it before. But just a quick overview, right, of the list. This is very quick. Now, it's got obviously sorcerers in it, Aramans in it on foot because I don't have the one on disc model yet. 2 exalted sorcerers, 1 on disc. 1, 2, 3, 4 squads of Rubiks, 2 squads of Zangors, a Hellbrute, Zangor Shaman, Scarab Terminators. I added that really to just buff the points up. 3 enlightened, 6 enlightened total, 1 chaos spawn. I was actually thinking something about that later on. I'll talk about that in a minute. Vindicator, Defiler, Mutilith Vortex Beast. He's just had a bionic bit added to his claw there. Basically, I lost the claw, so I've mini putted it in. So yeah, that's like green stuff, by the way. It's made for car bodies. It's quite strong. I've added a super heavy detachment. Now, I've got it down as an iconoclast, but anyway, my mate said to me that his heavy bolters now cost 2 damage, so the Olive's dust rule wouldn't apply. But from the things I've told you about, you can see there's quite a lot of assaulty stuff in there, from Zangors, Spawn, whatever. Right, plus Terminators, right, and then you've got the Zangor Enlightened, that can basically get around the board shooting. So there's a lot more going on than just Rubik Marines. But he wanted to increase the points from 2,000 to 2,500, right, because he wanted to try some more destructive firepower. Anyway, I'm at my limit really with the 1000 Suns, because I could add a few more things here and there and Zangors, but I wouldn't really get 500 points out of it. Right, so I had a choice. I could go for a knight, which I've got down as an Avenger Gatling Cannon and Rapid Fire Battle Cannon and Iron Storm Missile, because I took the Brayhorns off the Zangors to get the points down in order to get it under 2,500, and I did it. Right, but that's the shooty one, and that was listed as an iconoclast. And what I've done is I've got that Veil of Morrigard or whatever it is, which is a +4 invulnerable as well. And that's from the Corrupted Heirlooms, CP thing, or strategy. But I was looking at it, I was thinking it's quite ordinary, isn't it? It's quite boring. That thing there, Thousand Suns are lacking a certain amount of shooty stuff, and that would certainly fix that problem. Stick that in, problem solved. But is it exciting? If you feel that, if you stood at the back shooting, wouldn't he? Which might be what the 1000 Suns need, but this is the difference between me and a competitive player. They might figure out a thing to get the maximum effect out of a unit. I would be thinking, is that fun? Will I enjoy playing that? Now, there's a few configurations you've got to go for, like the Warp Haunted Hull, which allows him to deny a psychic power within 12 inches. And also on a far plus, ignore a wound lost caused by psychic powers. Then there's I've got to find it here. It's Helm of Warpsight, is it? No, that's him. It's something else. But somewhere around here, there's another one here that means it might be an artifact. It might be a stratagem. But basically, anybody casts a power, near you, they will peril. They will peril within 12 inches. So you can make it a null zone, You know, a null zone, psychic null zone, and it charging into the middle of a bunch of psychers, and then them psychers are doing nothing because they'll peril instantly. But an awful lot of command points used to, you know, cancel out, you know, the perils of the warp just because they wanted to cast smite. So yeah, you know, you could do that. And then there's artifacts here that allow, like I think it's Zechian Pyrothrone. Basically, it allows the knight to cast smite and deny 2 powers instead of 1 if it's taken the other thing as well. So yeah, I mean that's just the psychic knight. You know, psychic knight, Thousand Suns. It sounds like it'd work, doesn't it? Except for we don't get the +1 from the Brotherhood of Sorcerers anymore. So if he's casting smite, he's going to cast it at a -1 for every other time somebody else has cast it. So, but remember, I haven't played 9th edition yet. I haven't had the chance because of all the lockdowns and what's been going on with me. So it's all catchy uppy with me. But anyway, you got the Dread Packs. And the Dread Packs, this is where the fun comes in if you want to be mental. Like here, Path to Glory, you just basically re-roll hits against characters and Titanic units. Boring, right? Very boring. Thunderous Charge, you know. After a model finishes its charge move, roll a d6 for each enemy model with 1 inch of this model on a 4+. Says the unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds. Should we go with that one? Yes, I think we will. Thunderous Wounds, right? So that's a charge move, right? So that's a close combat thing. You want your knight in combat for that. And it means every time he gets in combat, you have a chance of killing 3 models in a unit off just by charging them. We'll ignore the we'll look at it here. We've got various things here. Let's have a look. Looking at damnations. With this it's Warp Rage. With this damnation, the model can't fall back and has a ballistic skill of 6. That works, doesn't it, with a charge thing? Can't fall back. Good. Yeah, we'll take that one, right? So we're going to go with Thunderous Charge, which is a +4. On a +4, the unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. And we're going to, that is each enemy unit. So technically, if you charge more than 1 unit, you get d3 mortal wounds on each one of them on a 4+. So we got that, and we got Warp Rage. This is what's going through my head as I'm working out what to spend extra points on. Now, you've got the Veil of, you know, for the +4 vulnerable save. Moran Guard, which I've got currently. We'll get rid of that, right? We want a fighty ones. Is once per battle, start the fight phase, the model with this reactivate until when it does, until the end of the fight phase, invulnerable saves cannot work. Yeah. Tyrant's Banner. Adds 1 to the leadership characteristics of units of each unit of those. Alright, this is it adds 1 to the leadership of friendly units around it. Does chaos seem that friendly to you? No, we don't do that sort of thing. Right, then you got Dreadblade, 5+ invulnerable, no, that's boring. Gauntlet, well, there's a few weapon replace. Oh, here's one. Quicksilver Throne of Slanesh. Perfect. Always fights first. So, our knight so far has Thunderous Charge, d4 wounds on anything he's charged. Warp Rage, he's never going to fall back. He's got Quicksilver Throne of Slanesh, so he always fights first. Now, we get to Warlord Traits, because you could use a power to give him a Warlord Trait. So we've got Infernal Quest, that's an objective secured one basically. That's good for shooting and stuff, but not good for what I've got in mind here. Handbringer Scrap Code. At the end of your movement phase, roll a d6 for each enemy vehicle within 6 inches of this warlord. On a 4+, he rolls or suffers a 1. That's not a bad one considering he'd be charging on the enemy's deployment zone, bashing everything. So yeah, that could be good, right? Then you've got Knight Diabolus, right? That's +1 of the warlord's attacks characteristic. Very useful, very useful. Warp Haunted Hull, no, that's a psychic thing. Eager for the Kill. When an advanced roll or charge roll is made for the Warlord, add 1 to the result. In addition, add 1 to the Warlord's attacks characteristic whilst wholly within the opponent's deployment zone. That could be good, right? Says because it helps get into combat. But remember, knights have a big base. He's probably not going to get the +1 attack. But this next one, this is a good one, right? Now remember, right? They shall know no fear unless a big stonking war machine comes up to them. So when a charge roll is made, says for an enemy unit within 12 units of this Warlord, subtract 1 from the result. Right? Alright, this is when they charge you. It says in addition, it says when a morale test is taken for the enemy within 12 inches of this Warlord, it says your opponent rolls 2d6, discarding the lowest. Either results, or if either result are the same. Now they shall know no fear. With 2 dice, twice. Maybe twice he might get a 6. I mean, it might be a case where he only just gets 1, 1 death, and he has to think, do I dare risk it? And then he rolls it again and he gets 3 dead. Very Zechian that, don't you think? Carrot's bit weaver would be pleased. So yeah, Aurora of Terror. So let's just see what we got, shall we? So far, with these extra points. Going right back to the beginning. We've got Thunderous Charge. Again, 4+ D3 runs for every unit nearby. Warp Rage, can't fall back, and his shooting sucks. Right, we've got what did I say that thing was? Oh yeah, the Quicksilver Throne always fights first, and Aurora of Terror. So our knight basically is a close combat meter. Now, reasons for taking 2 close combat weapons. It saved me 190 points on shooty weapons, and I could spend that on other troops. I could field the rest of my spawn, which are also close combat, turning the whole thing into a very assaulty army. Right? And spawn are really good at tying things up in combat, really good. And they're surprisingly well in combat as well. Bit random, but I like them. Right? They're very chaotic. They carry the right chaos. So if I was to just 2 lots of weapons on it, charge it forward, it'd probably take a bit of a battering, to be honest, because he'd be firing everything he can at it. But I am fielding other vehicles and tanks. But the thing is, this is the thing you've got to understand about the Thousand Sons army. I can teleport things across the board and be in combat with range of him fairly quickly. If he chooses to ignore them and shoots at the knight, he'd lose. The Zangors would just eat him alive. You see? So he's going to need assault troops, not heavy bolters. And he's planning using heavy bolt against Rubik Marines, but Rubik Marines are going to be at the back, shooting at him, not at the front, about to eat his face off. So his strategy for shooting me with heavy bolters is basically a bad one. What he really needs is more assault troops. And even then, I'd still take a spawn over an assault troop any day. Psychic powers are strong for Thousand Sons now, obviously. But you've still got high survivability rate from the Rubik Marines, so that's still good. The Knight really swings the game if you think about it. You either go from an assault-based Knight, which is pure chaos incarnate, you have a lot of fun with. It is the modern Mad Boy. Trust me when I say Mad Boys are great, right? Because they are. Not anymore, obviously. I mean, orcs haven't been real orcs for decades. They're just kind of some green Imperial Guard these days. But back in the day, in first edition, as some of you new people would call it, I say new because we called it Rogue Trader back then. There was no first edition, it was just Rogue Trader because there was no second edition until they scrapped all the best parts of it and then simplified it for everybody. But anyhow, this night, it would literally be a return to the Mad Boys days. You know, that feeling. And that feeling was great. It was very chaotic. You didn't know what they were going to do. You had all kinds of random effects, and it was absolutely hilarious. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not a competitive player, because I like those hilarious endings. But that is, we've done a psychic knight, we've done a chaotic knight. Both of them would suit, well, both of them would work. Psychic knight would fit perfectly with a Thousand Suns. The way I've got it currently configured is a shooting knight, which is what the Thousand Suns need, you know, because they don't have the firepower that other things do. I mean, I'd be taking heavy casualties in the first couple of turns simply because he'd outgun me. This is why you teleport things across the board as fast as you can, because that's the only way you can counter that. But yeah, I just can't help but think taking a full-blown chaosy close assault line might be a mistake. But my inner demon says, fuck it, do it anyway. So yeah, but if I do that, I'm going to get 190 points back. But I could split the difference. I could pick either the Avenger Gatling Cannon or the Rapid Fire Battle Cannon, keep one of them, and add a close combat weapon to the other arm. That's an option. That would give me between 3 or 5 extra spawn in the unit, and them spawn then would just run amok over the board, and I'd have a flexible knight that would go either way. But if you go all the way back to the beginning of the knight section here, and we start, I'm not going to look at the stratagems. There's a lot of stratagems here. Some of them are better than others. You've got Corrupt Heirlooms, allows you to give him an artifact. You've got Tyrannical Court, allows him to make him kind of a warlord. It's not actually a warlord, but you make him into a warlord, so you can take a warlord trait. Then you've got Geas here, which basically Iona Geas is for 2 command points. You can give anybody within 6 inches a 5+ invulnerable. You know, your shields extended basically to cover them. But anyway, you've got Iconoclast Households. Basically, these guys, it says here, if a model with this ambition made a charge move, was charged or performed heroic interaction, add 1 to the model's attacks. Remember, some of the other ones there add another 1 to the model's attacks, so technically that would be 2, because it's Iconoclast. So that'd be +2 attacks. Right, now it goes until the end of the turn. Says the armor penetration characteristic of a melee weapon says of the model says it's equipped with is improved by 1. So a 0 becomes a -1. Knights. So we have a look at what the armor penetration roll is for most knight weapons, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't need an extra one. Although it could really mess up some dreadnoughts, don't you think? I do hope my friend watches this video, because I'm kind of making it as a bit of a spoiler for him. Also because terror. I really should be Night Lord, shouldn't I? Using terror. Terrify my enemies so they give up before I arrive. So anyhow, there we go. Right, okay. No, it's not. Right, Thunderstruck. Oh, that's it. Go. Reaper Chainsaw. That's a -3 AP. So with the Iconoclast, that's now -4. Titanic Feet. That's now -2 and -3. And the Thunderstruck Gauntlet's now -5. Basically, they're going to fail, aren't they? It's going to be an automatic fail for many of them. Unless I've missed something, which I might have done. I'm a bit dyslexic, so I do miss things occasionally. Often. Quite a lot. Right, anyhow. Where's that thing now? There we go. So let's have a look. Right. Equipment was improved, says by 1, says until the end of the turn. If I remember rightly, you can increase you can increase a lot of things by 1 point only in the new rules. Let me just grab the rules. So if the new rules apply, you know, to everything, the modifier. I've got to be able to find it now. It's always fun in a big rule book, especially when you can't remember where it was. But I might be right at the beginning. Right. Remember roughly where it was. It was right in that, on the top of the right hand page. But anyhow, it says the if it limits the the thing to just one, then you only get one attack. But if you can take more than one attack, and if it doesn't affect the attacks, you get +1 attacks and no +1 attacks, and it isn't affected by these rules that limit the modifiers, then in theory, Iconoclast could be the way to go for the demonic metered. But I can't help but think that the Inferno House is just speaks demon to me. Whereas the Iconoclast just says, I'm a bit of a corrupt Imperial, having a bad day. So yeah, it doesn't sound right to me, put it that way. Right. Insufficient charge move. No, it's not it. Pretty sure I've gone past it. Anyway, see, I've read the rule I'm looking for. It limits how many modifiers you can add to your dice rolls. So I think it's going to be. No, it's not that one either. I think it's so hard to find things. You see it, and then when you go back to it, it's not there. Deploy forces, missiles, points, building. It's definitely past it. Should be in the shooting section, really, shouldn't it? If it's in the shooting section, it won't apply, will it? So if it is in the shooting section, it's not what I think it is. Shooting phase. No. Anyway, can't see it. But there was one rule somewhere in this book, on the right page at the top, describing the fact you could only have one modifier one, which I remember seeing, but I can't remember. I haven't had a chance to play 9th edition yet because of COVID, homelessness and a bunch of other things. But anyway, if we go back to the thought of just going with the assaulty feeling and using Zangor's Spawn and a Chaos Knight with close combat weapon 1 or 2, then yeah, we could have a bit of fun there. If I wanted to shoot at something heavy, it'd be a battle cannon, a rapid fire battle cannon I need. Plus I've got a turret on the top that can fire at things I can't see, and they can move and fire, so I could charge around firing at anything on the board basically with it. Character as well, so it can make heroic interventions. Fucking big character. So yeah, so I'm thinking maybe then let's just discuss it then. If it was to be a shooty one, it'd stand at the back, bang bang bang, that'd be it, right? There'd be no other side effects to the game other than it shot something dead. If it was a close combat beast, it'd be always affecting everything around it, depending on how I configured it. Now, you're not going to get a knight within 12 inches of a unit and not lose something. It's going to kill something, probably several things. And if you've got a modifier on the leadership and forcing your opponent to roll 2 dice, even a Space Marine army, you roll 2 dice twice, right? And then you've got -1 leadership on top of that and all kinds of other wonderful things, right? Then, and not to mention the extra attacks, 6 attacks. I mean, you get 3 attacks with your feet, with the Titanic feet. And if you do the Iconoclast +1 attack plus one of some of the others that give you extra attacks, one of the Warlock Traits to give you extra attacks, that's 6, right? Assuming it's allowed, right? That's 3 6s, 18 attacks with the feet against infantry. And these things would be user strength, which I think is 8, -2, on the save. So Space Marines would be saving on a 5. Gets 18. You could potentially wipe out an entire squad. Or you could spread the attacks across several squads and force them all to take morale checks. There's even something in here that says that it doesn't matter what they roll, they're going to lose +1 casualty. So they get +1 casualty whenever they fail a morale check. So if they was going to lose 1 character, they'd lose 2. Or model, you know, lose 2 instead. So you can really buff it up. So yeah, so the question is, do you go with shooty, psychic, or close assault? Because once you try to make up the numbers and try to fill that void in the Thousand Suns, you've got multiple choices and it affects your entire game. I could play the same list 3 times with 3 different results. Well, maybe it's different. 3 different play styles, and each one would be unique. It would never feel the same because the knight is such a big character, it influences everything around it, and if the rest of your force is a typical Thousand Suns one, the shooty side is going to be lacking. So you had the knight, you've got the shooty face, suddenly it's balanced. If it's already quite close combat heavy, you had a close assault knight, it's really close combat heavy. You go for something in the middle, it tends to keep the flavour as it was at the beginning, because you get the Thousand Suns are something in the middle. Generally, it's the psychic stuff that takes them over the top. And right now, with the 9th edition, we haven't got the Brotherhood of Psychic Sorcerers is it anymore. So yeah. Anyhow, tell me what you think below, right? Because I do enjoy reading some of your comments, by the way, and it's good to be corrected, because it's better to be corrected and play with the right rules next time than play with the wrong rules now, isn't it? So there's nothing wrong with being corrected, having someone point out mistakes. It's a good thing. Never take it personally. Think of it this way, right? If they help you understand the rules better, you're going to be a better player. Makes sense, doesn't it? So anyhow, post what you think below. That's what I've been thinking for the next game, right? I mean, I would have gone more into the Thousand Suns side, right? But I've already talked about it in the previous video. But I am thinking it's just too much fun not to go down the assault road and take more spawn. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? The Avenger Gatling Cannon and Rapid Fire Gatling Cannon, that would do the job. It would, wouldn't it? I'd lay waste to everybody with that. But would it be fun? Seriously, you know? You want to see the face of your enemy just melt in terror, you know? So, yeah. Maybe I should call him Alf, not Alf, what's his name now? Night Haunter, is it? Yeah. Anyhow, just so you know what the knight is. I think you've seen it before, but that's the configuration I've got down currently. But that's kind of a compromise. Well, I think if I go for the compromise, I'm going to take the rapid fire battle cannon, because it'd be good for against infantry. I mean, against heavier stuff. But that is what I call the full-blown meathead. You know, you don't bother with stinky weapons that shoot. This is just a giant orc with a sword. Imagine that charging out. Look at that. Look at that. Actually, he's got a bit Zeechy there, isn't he? Or Slaneshi. You know, I am thinking Slanesh fights first. Anyhow, I've got to make up my mind before the weekend. But like I said, you tell me below what you think. It's a few days before the game, right? So, you know, you never know. I might use your idea. See you in the next one.